How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific 3 Eastern, Sunday 3 Pacific 6 Eastern. Well, it's Tuesday here on this program, and you know what that means? We have so much to talk about here today, not the least of which is last night's Monday Night Raw. We have a little over, we got 2 weeks until the Hell in a Cell show, and we got matches for Hell in a Cell. So we can tell you about that, the Raw show last night, and more. We've also got NXT 2.0 tonight. Tomorrow is AEW Dynamite. Tomorrow's the Go Home Dynamite for the Double or Nothing show, which is coming up this weekend. Obviously, there's a Rampage on Friday. And if you are one of those folks going to Las Vegas for Double or Nothing weekend, well, be at the building at about 2 o'clock on Friday, because the show's going to start at 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. And that looks to be the plan. But they're gonna go at that point one way or the other. I suppose they can go live to tape or whatever. But 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern is when the show is going to start on Friday. We'll give you the lineup for all of these shows. There's a lot coming up. So we'll talk about that here today on the show. Thankfully, we got nothing regarding Sasha and Naomi. So that's your update for the day. We got ratings to talk about here. Of course, our weekly Raw report and plenty more. If you'd like to contact us here today, 425-780-7566. That is the text message line. 425-780-7566. Brian at WrestlingObserver.com is the email address. At Bryan Alvarez on Twitter. And the update on Lance Storm is he is feeling almost back to normal after his battle with COVID, which means at 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern today, we will be doing our Figure 4 Daily with Lance Storm, only for subscribers, WrestlingObserver.com or video.f4wonline.com. Lance returns in a couple of hours. Mike Sempervive is here after the break. Back in a moment, Observer Live.
Hey there, everyone. It's Denise Salcedo, and I am back with part 2 of my AEW Double or Nothing trivia. Let's play. Question number 1. True or false? Cody Rhodes has had a singles match on every edition of AEW Double or Nothing from 2019 through 2021. The answer is true. In 2019, he wrestled Dustin Rhodes. In 2020, he wrestled Lance Archer. And in 2021, he wrestled Anthony Ogogo. Question number 2. Who was not in the AEW Double or Nothing 2021 Casino Battle Royale? A. Wardlow. B. Dustin Rhodes. C. Penta El Cero Miedo. D. All of the above. The correct answer is Wardlow. He was not in it because he was participating in the Stadium Stampede that year. Question number 3. True or false? Kenny Omega has had a singles match on every AEW Double or Nothing from 2019 through 2021. The answer is false. In 2019, he wrestled Jericho, but the following year, he was part of the Stadium Stampede, and then in 2021, he was in a triple threat against Orange Cassidy and Pac. Question number 4. True or false? Kenny Omega has main evented every AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view between 2019 and 2021. And once again, the answer is false. He took part in the main events for 2019 and 2020, but for 2021, he was not in the Stadium Stampede match, which closed out the show. Question number 5. Name the 2 cities that have hosted an AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view. There are only two answers, and those are Jacksonville, Florida, and Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, that's officially a wrap for our AEW Double or Nothing trivia. Thank you guys so much for playing. I hope you guys had a good time. Other than that, enjoy the rest of Wrestling Observer Live.
Wrestling Observer Live, Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Well, we got a lot of big shows coming up, everybody. Our favorite show, NXT 2.0, takes place tonight. Dynamite takes place on Wednesday, Rampage on Friday. We actually have matches for next week's Raw already. But here's what we got coming up, everyone. Tonight on NXT 2.0, Braun Breaker is going to be facing Duke Hudson, who's 6'5", in a non-title match. Mandy Rose will be facing Indy Hartwell in a non-title match. Pretty Deadly will be facing Roderick Strong and Damon Kemp in a non-title match. These titles are very prestigious. Edris Enofe and Malika Blade versus Stacks and Two Dimes, which, by the way, I was alerted yesterday that Two Dimes is also I guess a term for like a life sentence in prison. 2 dimes, 20 years.
It's not a life sentence.
Well, life sentence is normally 20 years. That's why you can get consecutive life sentences.
What? What are you talking about?
Where have you been, bruh?
I thought it depends on if you can
Anyway, this guy ain't even
not.
20, so I'm not sure how he even got 2 dimes.
What?
Unless he committed some horrible crime when he was 0.
Maybe it's because he's 20. That's why you had 10 plus 10. 20 years old, 2 dimes. What's happening?
Elbow Fire and Elektra Lopez. And Wesley versus Sangha. He was born in prison, this guy says.
Oh, man.
What? How long is a life sentence?
It's like it's 80 years or 60 years or something.
Life sentence is any type of imprisonment where a defendant is required to remain in prison for all of their natural life or until parole. So how long is a life sentence? Well, in most of the United States, a life sentence means a person in prison for 15 years with the chance of parole. So there you go.
Soft parole boards, I guess, letting people out early. Like Raising Arizona or something like that.
But there are multiple types of life imprisonment. There's 15 years to life, 25 years to life, life with mercy, indeterminate life sentences, life without the possibility of parole, life without mercy, etc., etc. But the point is...
Life without mercy.
Yeah, can you imagine that?
Damn.
I should have had Fauntleroy read those.
25 to life, though. That's the one that sounds most familiar.
So we really don't know what Two Dimes, what his name is all about. I think he's got 20 cents to his name. But other people have suggested other things. And I mean, we don't really know what stacks means either.
When he gets cut in 3 months, I guess we'll find that out.
I mean, maybe he's really into paper, this Stacks. Maybe he works at a print shop. I don't know. We don't know anything about these two guys.
Maybe he likes playing Jenga.
Dynamite on Wednesday. We have FTR versus Roppongi Vice for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. So they got titles on the line on this show, brother. We got Samoa Joe, Kyle O'Reilly, men's tournament semifinal. Britt Baker, Tony Storm, women's tournament semifinal. Wardlow, Shawn Spears with MJF as the referee. Jungle Boy, Swerve Strickland, and Ricky Starks in a 3-way. CM Punk and Hangman Page will have a confrontation. And just added, Thunder Rosa will be interviewed by Tony Schiavone.
Oh, no. That never works out well. It's becoming a parody now with this whole deal with her, and this has not been the title reign that I would have expected that Thunder Rosa would have. like try to turn this one around. I don't know if an interview segment with Tony Schiavone is going to do it because, Nyla Rose, that one didn't work out too well. And, these things just don't work out well.
And, of course, Raw next week. If you do not see Raw, we'll do the Raw report after the break. But it was originally going to be Asuka versus Bianca Belair at Hell in a Cell because Asuka had beaten Becky Lynch last week. But Becky got put into another match this week where if she won, she would be added to the match. So she won. Now it's a three-way. So next week on the Go Home Raw, you get to see the match that was originally the championship match at Hell in a Cell. It will be Asuka versus Bianca Belair, non-title next week. And the return to action of Lacey Evans. We're going to find out one way or the other. I shouldn't say that. I expect to find out next week if she's a babyface or if they're actually going heel with Lacey Evans. Because it was, and you know how these things go, the plan was that she would be a heel. Once everybody heard that, they just were like aghast. So it's possible that they're going to go babyface with her. But I guess we'll find out on Monday. Listen, I have no problem long-term with going heel with Lacey Evans. At some point, you can make some sort of change. But to do all of that, because you know what? You can only do it once. It's like the Cameron Grimes deal. I mean, if that guy would have lost, how many times can he go back to the same story about how he promised his father he would win a title in NXT? I mean, you could, but I mean, the
tough sell.
Jump. It was strike when the iron is hot. Have her work as a babyface. See how over she can get as a babyface, and then eventually, fine, turn her heel. But you can never do this 6 weeks of vignettes again to get her over as a heroic babyface. So don't mess this up, you idiots. That's my advice, which nobody ever takes. WWE returning to Saudi Arabia in November. Maybe Lacey Evans can work on that show. November 5th. So it'll be just a few weeks before the Survivor Series. And, this is how they make their money. $60 million a show, approximately, every time they do a show in Saudi Arabia. So if you're wondering why, well, stacks and two dimes, baby. That's why. So they're going to go there on November 5th, make their money, and that's the story.
Christmas money.
I can keep going if you want, Mike.
Well, what do you want me to add to that?
Nothing. SmackDown, exactly. 2.031 million viewers, up 11%. Largest audience for the show since April 15, 0.45, and 18 to 49. So that's a pretty good number there. Rampage aired at 7 Eastern, 4 on the West Coast, 410,000 viewers, up 20%. Why am I so itchy?
What are you, Billy Kidman all of a sudden now? What do you got, fleas over there?
No,
what's happening?
It's called
pollen?
I've been crying about this weather.
A new fabric softener?
How we were 8 days into May and we broke the record for rain. 8 days into the month that we'd already broken the record. And then by day 15, we had double the rain we ever have in May. I was just ready to you know what I'm saying. And then all of a sudden the sun came out the other day. And I think it hit like 68 or 70. And it was like a heat wave. We lost power. Oh, no. And then like my allergies exploded. So yeah, that's what's going on. So I apologize for all the itching. But anyway,
everything just mold and mildew up there most of the year?
No, we don't have mold or mildew.
That rain?
We clean our houses. We don't. What do you think's going on? We leave everything out in the rain?
No,
we bring it inside.
Does your help clean your house?
Yeah, we actually hire people to clean this house. And if you saw this house, you'd probably hire more people than we do. So anyway, 410,000 viewers for Rampage, up 20.6%, 0.15 and 18 to 49, up 25%. Best rating since April 22nd, 13th for the day on cable. Pretty soon, this will all be over. They'll be back in their normal time slot. Then we can accurately judge them again. But that's the update. And that's the news, everybody.
Have you been watching any of the New Japan Best of the Super Juniors?
I've not watched 1 second of it.
Oh, man.
There's a lot going on, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Well, is it good? Are you just going to ask me the question and not answer? Did you watch a second of it?
Yes, I've seen almost every match so far.
Why don't you tell us how it is then?
Today's shows. It's been fantastic so far, but a lot of really good wrestling. And I can
You
see
don't
when
say.
Yeah, can you believe that? But I can see it literally 3 to 3.5 star matches. There's been a couple of outliers that have been really good. El Desperado has looked fantastic being over there. Ace Austin from TNA has really impressed me being over there. He's fit in perfectly. So, I can see the G1 starting off with a lot more fire than this has. But for a lot of guys, this is their first time in Japan. That's their first time working for New Japan and with some of the opponents they've been with. But, guys like Teton, Clark Connors, TJP, all of those guys have stood out.
Well, maybe I'll watch some after NXT 2.0 tonight. Back in a moment, Observer Live.
Hey there, everyone. With WrestleMania Backlash taking place this month, I decided to quiz you guys all on how well you actually remember last year's WWE WrestleMania Backlash from 2021. Let's see. Question number 1. What movie was being promoted during The Miz versus Damian Priest? A. Red Notice. B. Army of the Dead. C. Zombieland. D. The Dead Don't Die. The correct answer is Army of the Dead, a zombie film starring Batista. The stipulation for this match was a zombie lumberjack. Question number 2. True or false? Braun Strowman wrestled his last match in WWE at WrestleMania Backlash 2021. A. True. B. False. The answer is true. Braun Strowman was part of the triple threat match for the WWE Championship against Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre. Question number 3. What 2 women did Rhea Ripley defeat to retain her WWE Raw Women's Championship? A. Nikki Ash and Charlotte Flair. B. Asuka and Nikki Ash. C. Shayna and Charlotte Flair. D. Asuka and Charlotte Flair. The correct answer is Asuka and Charlotte Flair. Rhea Ripley defeated them in a triple threat match to retain her championship. Question number 4. True or false? WrestleMania Backlash 2021 featured the Worst of the Year match from the 2021 Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards. A. True. B. False. The answer is true. It was voted the worst match of the year. Question number 5. What was the main event of WrestleMania Backlash 2021? A. Roman Reigns versus Cesaro. B. Bobby Lashley versus Braun Strowman versus Drew McIntyre. C. Bianca Belair versus Bayley. D. None of the above. The correct answer is Roman Reigns versus Cesaro for the WWE Universal Championship. And that's a wrap for this trivia video. I hope you guys had a good time playing. As always, if you did, go ahead and let me know. You can hit me up on Twitter and/or on Instagram @_Denise Salcedo. And if you have any trivia suggestions, go ahead and send them to me as well. I'm always open to more ideas. Other than that, enjoy the rest of Wrestling Observer Live, and I'll see you guys next time.
Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Let's get this Raw report out of the way, then we'll take your feedback and maybe your calls in the next segment. I mean, there was good stuff on this show. Yeah. Did you watch it? Man, Matt Riddle came out crying. I was crying. He was so sad to have lost that match, and his friend Randy. Randy's been having a rough time the last couple of years. Back hurts. He's just in pain all the time, and he knew Randy didn't want to let him down, but he let Randy down. And Randy's not here tonight, and he looked in the camera and he says, Randy, I just want you to know I love you. Fans are practically crying. This is a very heart-wrenching little segment right here. Then it led to a match. Riddle and the Street Profits versus Sammy and the Usos. Because they haven't officially said anything, but the brand extension it's essentially done. Half of the Raw crew is going to be on SmackDown Friday. Cody's going to be there. I think Seth is going to be there. They're just doing whatever. And it makes for a better show, as we've mentioned 1,000 times. So anyway, ended up with the Usos walking out on Sami Zayn. So Sami Zayn's all by himself 1-on-3. Riddle hits him with the RKO and pins him. And they talk about how Riddle has gotten his revenge. I was like, he has? Anyway, he won. So that was nice. We had the Bobby Lashley Almighty Challenge. And it was essentially Bobby Lashley coming out. And Lashley's not like a great promo. But the thing is, like, he's a legitimate bad dude. And so if the right guy, starts, saying the right things, he's actually pretty good. So he's challenged MVP to a match. And if the winner gets to choose the stipulations for Lashley versus Omos at Hell in a Cell. So, MVP is like, he doesn't really want to do the match. And so Lashley asks if he's scared. And so then MVP launched into this promo about, I'm not scared. I made you. I'm a former blah, blah, blah. And then Lashley gets all riled up, and he starts, I'm going to kick your ass tonight. It actually turned into a pretty good promo segment. That was the entire first hour of the show, by the way. The whole first hour was those two segments. Then the Judgment Day comes out, and they stand in the ring for 8 minutes while they do commercials and backstage interviews with Dana Brooke and this and that, Becky Lynch. Then they come back, and they talk for another 8 minutes. And so after about 16 minutes, it's finally time for a match. What did they talk about, you ask? You know what they talked about. It's because of the fans. It's the fans' fault. 8 minutes of it's because of you fans. And it's even funnier because they're supposed to be heels and the fans are supposed to hate them. And the first thing that Damian Priest says is, all rise. And, bro, you look in the background, and all the fans rise. They rise. He says, all rise. And they're like, oh, he told us to stand up. And they all stand up. And poor Damian Priest has to look around and go, I said all rise. Like they're not listening to him, even though they did. These WWE fans are something else nowadays. So anyway, they had a match. It was Rhea and Damian Priest versus Liv Morgan and AJ Styles. I do like, by the way, that one of my favorite wrestling names in the last decade was Punishment Martinez, which was the name of Damian Priest before they changed his name. So they can't call him that. But Edge repeatedly refers to him as the Punishment, which is awesome. So anyway, they had a good match. And Edge, of course, interfered multiple times and finally cost Liv Morgan the win. Ripley pinned her. And then the babyfaces get beaten, and then they get beaten up. Heat. So they're all killed. We had a Miz promo. Oh, God help me. We had Jerry Lawler's King's Court with Veer Mahan. Veer Mahan is the biggest, scariest, most intimidating guy in storyline. So, 70-something-year-old Jerry Lawler goes out there. He just tells a bunch of jokes and makes fun of the guy. And they did do a quick promo with Veer. And then Lawler starts making more jokes. And now Veer's like, well, I guess I got to kill you now. And so the Mysterios run out and they clear the ring of Veer Mahan. So it looks like we're going to have multiple handicap matches at the pay-per-view because, in WWE, it's like they have 40 writers, but they all have the same one idea. So, that's what happens. Here are their one ideas. Handicap matches. I think we're going to have 2 at the pay-per-view. The gimmick where you tease a count out and then the guy flies into the ring and then immediately gets pinned. We've seen that 3 times in the last 2 weeks between Raw and SmackDown. We saw it again on this show. Alexa Bliss promo. Alexa Bliss is, my God, this was... She's happy to be back. Let's just leave it at that. Then we had Alexa beating Nikki Ash. We've seen this match. We saw it last week. We're seeing it again. It was the same match. She won. Okay. Third hour. They did the countdown clock for Cody. Cody's going to be showing up 9:50 or whatever. So they play his music. He comes down. Crowd's going crazy. He's going gets in the ring. They shut the lights off, and he has to stand there for 8 minutes because we got a commercial. Asuka video package. Asuka interview. Finally, The Miz does his entrance. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but Cody's first match back was with The Miz, and he beat him. Well, here we are. I got an idea. Let's just do it again. So they do the same match we've already seen. Nobody believes The Miz is beating Cody. Miz has his good days, and he has his days that aren't so good. This was one of those days. Boring match. Miz is underwater. Slow motion. And finally, Cody goes up top, and Seth Rollins comes down and shoves him off the top, and it's a DQ. Yeah. So he beats up Cody, and then earlier, Cody had given his weight belt to some youngster, and so for heat, Seth goes and steals it back from the youngster, and he goes and he just gives... It's only one whack, but man, he whacked Cody. Whacks him with this belt and leaves, and then he's limping, he's selling his leg, his back's all messed up, and he goes and he gives the belt back to the kid. What a baby face. My God. So then, talking about matches that we've seen before, because, how many wrestlers do they have between two brands? God, I've seen the same matches over. I'm losing it now. I'm trying to reel myself in.
Let it go. Come on, let it go. It's cathartic. Do it.
We see Ezekiel and Chad Gable again. This is the third match we're seeing again here in the last couple of weeks. Last week it was at least good because Kevin Owens was on commentary and he was awesome. It was the best thing on the show. Well, this week it's WWE, so it's like, well, no one was paying attention to the match because of Kevin Owens, so he can be there, but he can't talk. So he's at ringside, but they don't let him do commentary. These blokes, 4 minutes, nothing happened in match. I was begging for them to put the headset on Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, he's off screen, he's like, he's lying, he's a liar. And I turning up the volume so I could only hear Kevin Owens, because the only interesting thing about this, I almost said a bad word, about this stupid match, and then you'll never guess. Actually, Ezekiel pinned him. There was multiple interference, but the referee was fine with it. And then Ezekiel got a cradle for the pin. So then Ezekiel bails. Kevin Owens wants a match with Ezekiel at Hell in a Cell, and whoop-de-doo. Cody Rhodes promo where he talked about Hell in a Cell. MVP versus Lashley. This match, my God. MVP has not wrestled in a long time, and he's coming off knee surgery. And this is one of those matches where, Jerry Lawler, they don't let Jerry Lawler do anything, but Jerry Lawler is wrestling multiple matches every week on the indies. And, you're thinking, well, man. And then, Ric Flair's got his match and everybody's worried about it. Dude, these guys went 3 minutes, and I don't think MVP did one move in this whole match. He did one running Yakuza kick in the corner. He did nothing in this match. And finally, they're outside, and Bobby Lashley and Omos start brawling. The referee's looking right at him on the outside. They're brawling outside the ring. This is not a DQ. Instead, the ref goes, 8, 9, 10. He counts out Lashley as he's brawling with Omos, who is not in the match. So MVP wins. He gets to choose a stipulation. It will be a handicap match at Hell in a Cell. MVP and Omos against Lashley at Hell in a Cell. And then the announcers explain, well, they were brawling, but the ref never saw Lashley hit Omos. He only saw Omos, or no, it was the other way around. He never saw Omos hit Lashley. He only saw Lashley hit Omos. So it wasn't a DQ. It's like, well, that's fine, but why are you counting the guy out? Lacey Evans returns next week. Then the main event, Becky Lynch and Asuka. In real life, they got 11 minutes, but in your life, they got 6 because we had a commercial break right in the middle of the match. It's like they did the same thing they always do. Bianca does her entrance. There's literally 21 minutes left in the show, so they could have had a really good match. But Bianca enters, and then they go to commercial. And then Asuka does her entrance, and then Becky has to do her entrance, and they finally start the match, and then they go immediately to commercial. And they come back, and there's 6 minutes left. And boom, 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 boom. They did the same finish I was just mocking a moment ago. Asuka tries to kick Becky. She kicks Bianca. Becky tries to throw Asuka into the table, but they screw up the spot, and Asuka just falls down. Becky jumps in the ring, and she wants Asuka to get counted out. Asuka makes it in the ring at the last second, but Becky doesn't even hit her with a move. Asuka rolls into the ring, and then just lays there dead, and Becky pins her. That was the finish. So it is now a 3-way at Hell in a Cell. And that was Raw. Back in a moment. Observer Live.
Question number 1. What is your favorite movie of all time?
One of the Avenger movies. Not the last one that came out, but the second to last one.
Question number 2. Least favorite workout?
Back workout.
Question number 3. What's on your gym playlist?
Gym playlist. I love music, so I have all different genres from rock to R&B to rap. Okay, I'm going to sound like a big mark right now, but one song that has to be on my gym playlist is Edge theme song, the old one. I know my friends I'm in group chat with are going to listen to this podcast and call me a mark, but it is what it is.
Question number 4. What is your process like on a show day?
Process on a show day is being positive and being friendly and trying not to stress. I'm not one of those guys that has to listen to music and get all riled up, because it's like I want to be as calm as possible. So I'm always the friendly, nice guy, like upbeat, positive. Because when I go out there, I want my mind to be clear.
Question number 5. How do you spend your days off?
Sleep. As soon as I get home from a loop or a show, I literally sleep for 12 to 15 hours.
Question number 6. Who's your favorite person to have been in the ring with?
3. I have 3 guys. So Josh and Eddie, if obviously those, Eddie's one of my best friends, so we always have that chemistry where it's one of those things where we could go in there and call the whole match in the ring because we've wrestled each other for so many times. Josh, because of how awesome he is, and somebody that I could wrestle every day for the rest of my life is Heath.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I could wrestle Heath every day for the rest of my career and wrestle till I'm 60. So those are my top 3.
Good picks. Question number 7. What is your proudest career moment?
Being Impact World Champion at Bound for Glory.
And question number 8. Do you remember the last thing you Googled?
Where the closest gym is to me in Cincinnati. I did that last night.
Question number 9. If you could become an expert in anything overnight, what would it be?
Maybe finances, to see what else I could put my money in to make more money.
And last question number 10. What is your best cheat day meal?
I'm a big dessert guy. Usually I dial in my diet like a month to 6 weeks before pay-per-view. And I'll have a cheat meal like once every week, maybe once every 7 to 10 days. And only thing I want to eat on those cheat meals is not even food, it's just sweets. So you're talking about cake, cookies, cheesecake, ice cream. Anything sweet is a best cheat day meal for me.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. I was chatting with the chat, and WWE does a lot of dumb things, okay? But we don't need to invent dumb things, all right? Asuka's not being buried because she lost on Raw. What's happening is, this is the booking they do for every single 3-way, unless it involves Roman Reigns, because he will never be pinned. But anybody else on the roster, if they're in a 3-way, this is the exact booking that they do. Last week, Becky lost. This week, Asuka lost. Coming up on Monday, I bet you anything, Bianca's going to lose. This is their classic 3-way booking. everybody loses to everybody else. How many years have I said this? We're gonna buy the pay-per-view to find out which of you is the most successful loser. Not like which one of you is the best. You're all losers. You're all gonna lose. Becky lost. Like, you're all losing. So which one of you can manage to get out with one win? That's what you're paying for on pay-per-view. Now, could they have done the finish better? Well, of course. But you can say that about virtually every single match. It's like when people were going, oh, Cody's being buried. He can't win. He keeps winning by DQ. It's like, do you watch the show or do you just like, everybody loses via DQ all the time. On every show, it's DQ, 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 count out, distraction, 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 distraction. What you have to look at is, it's not, well, who's being pushed based on their win-loss. Well, if you're looking at it that way, there's one person being pushed, 3, I guess. Roman Reigns and the Usos. That's it. No one else in the entire company is being pushed if you're going to go by a win-loss record. All right? And even the Usos have done non-title jobs. So I guess we're down to only Roman Reigns. All right? So how do you determine who is a star if you can't go by win-loss? Well, you look at how everybody is presented on television. And to try to claim that Cody is not being presented as a star, yeah, he had a match with The Miz with no heat. Okay, anything in the third hour is going to have no heat. You have a main event with Seth Rollins, and by that point in the show, it's going to have no heat. Doesn't mean Seth isn't a star. So, are they doing a countdown clock for Cody? Are they telling you every week, win Cody? Of course. Right now, Cody is being pushed as the second biggest star in this company behind Roman Reigns. Now, if you watch the show and you're like, are you kidding? Yeah, no, I'm not kidding you. That's what's going on. Yeah, it sounds ridiculous when you think about it, but that's the way this company operates. And there's a lot of things to make fun of, but we don't have to invent things to make fun of. There's plenty, right?
I can't believe people are this bent up about Cody Rhodes. I refuse
well,
to believe
I'll tell you
these
why.
people exist. And
remember we had the prediction show about Cody? Remember we had that prediction show about Cody?
Yeah.
It was actually funny because everybody had a prediction, but when they actually had to call in and give it, they didn't have the prediction they had, like on the chats or whatever. But everybody was sure that Cody was going to fail and he was going to be buried and he was going to be chasing the 24/7 title. That's all we heard before he came in. And I think people were mad at me because I said, dude, they're going to push this guy. They have to push this guy because they want to get MJFs and Young and whoever else from AEW when their contracts come due, Jericho. They're going to want to steal people from AEW. So it does them no good to bury Cody. You have to push Cody as a big... And oh, no, they're not, Brian. He's going to chase that 24/7 title. Well, now that he's actually being pushed as a star, now we have to invent a narrative where he's getting buried.
Well, I think,
but he's not.
But Brian, I think there's some long-term middle ground there where it's like, yeah, things are going to have to play out, and how will they feel about him a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now? I don't know how long his contract's for. Let's say it's for 3 years. We have seen them do stop-starts with everybody, with the exception even of Roman Reigns. But even Roman Reigns has been the one consistent that they've pushed people, but they've fallen out of favor with anybody. We talk about it with Kevin Owens as somebody you can rebuild. As Seth Rollins, you can rebuild very easily, bouncing back and forth. Who's to say they can't do that with Cody Rhodes? And who's to say that they won't do that with Cody Rhodes? And then, are you as big of a success? Do people want to go over there? So yeah, there's. Again, multiple things can be right here. You're right, they have to push Cody Rhodes, and I think they're doing it incredibly well, and I think the people that are complaining about that, if you're not being trolls, you're just being silly or stupid or blind about it, completely obtuse. They are doing what they can with Cody Rhodes. He's not gotten any losses. They have a countdown clock for him. The whole entrance, the top heels can't stand him. It works completely. So I think there's a lot of people being disingenuous about that. And if you are honestly missing it, I don't know what to tell you, because they've done as good of a job with Cody Rhodes as they've done anybody being new in that company in the last, I don't know how many times.
As far as here notes, talking about repetitive booking, Cody has now wrestled Miz twice. That's one match more than he wrestled against his fierce foe MJF, and 2 more than his matches with Kenny Omega, Adam Page, Jon Moxley, or CM Punk in AEW. Yeah, there's a lot of rematches in WWE. We watch the same show over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I need to actually go back and check the roster because, there was a time where, WWE clearly had a much bigger roster than AEW, and they still were doing the same matches over and over again, and somehow AEW almost never did rematches. But now I actually think that it's possible that AEW has a bigger roster because, man, they signed so many people. And but it's the same deal. It's like,
well,
doesn't matter how many people WWE has. Vince relies on the exact same people doing the exact same matches over and over again, week after week.
Things are going to be changing now that LA Knight's meat market is on the scene. They're going to be breaking up the monotony of everything.
It's not LA Knight, bro.
Is it Maxi Priest? What is it?
Max Dupree.
Max Dupree.
No, Mike. Max Dupree.
Max Dupree.
Closer. You'll get it.
It's like I'm trying to get Howard Stern to say WNBC. Like you had it, Max Dupree.
No,
Am I
Max
doing it correctly?
Dupree.
Max Dupree.
That's better.
Max Dupree. Is that what, like that?
Yeah.
Max Dupree.
That's a little bit better.
All right.
Maximum Model Management. Along with his first model.
Wait a second, 3M?
Mace.
I don't know if 3M is something they're going to be able to trademark.
Well, they're not. They're going to trademark Maximum Male Muscles.
Maximum Male Model
Whatever
Management?
it is. Maximum
Meat.
Model Management. Maximum. I don't even know what it is.
Mansoor, Mace, a lot of M's going on there with that group.
You should listen to the Filthy show yesterday where Filthy tries to argue that Max Dupree did not screw up and call him Face.
Like from the
Which he
18
did. He did. He introduced him as Face. But WWE edited off everything. And on
Well, why would he not
WWE.com.
Gosh, he's a great name for a male model, would it not be? Calling him Face?
Don't even get into this again. Well, we're going to have face and biceps and
Sure.
thighs.
Lats,
Hey,
get in here.
coming down to the ring, glutes.
Look, I mean, on that roster, somebody could come up as glute, somebody from NXT.
Actually, I picture glutes working with 2 dimes and stacks. Stacks, 2 dimes, and glutes. Glutes can actually crush 2 dimes. Because he's really does those squats and everything. Those kettlebells. First 15 minutes of Raw were fabulous. Such a non-WWE promo. Riddle's delivery and emotions were spot on. Dude, Riddle was fantastic.
God. I'm sorry. I
Dude,
don't
he was
know.
great. He was awesome.
It was a little, I don't know.
Oh, man. Now you're going to... Anything else you want to bury?
I'm not burying it. I'm just saying I'm surprised are extra sensitive about Riddle being sensitive there. I did that for
No one's
Randy.
sensitive
I saw the thing afterwards too, the digital exclusive that he did where they continued on with it as well. And I mean, I'm not saying that there's not worse things on that show. I was surprised that people really loved it as much as they did. God bless you, everybody.
I like this guy's got an idea for one of the wrestlers in Maximum Muscular whatever. Mm-hmm. Sirloin. I like that one.
The
problem is it's too good. Well, of course.
Oh, my God. That's how you can break away Otis for shakes and weights and bring back that version of him. You know, he's a new recruit somehow to male model management, and he's the comic relief there.
Sirloins.
Sirloin.
No, this guy says sirloins. Which I'm not sure if that's better or worse. The phone lines are open, by the way, if you're bored. 844-913-2727. Otherwise, I'll just do these text messages. I don't know who they're going to bring in for MMM. This person here says, hear me out. We need bad shows like NXT and other WWE programming. When you and Vinny review AEW, which most times is an awesome show, the reviews go pretty quickly as you talk about the good stuff. When you review NXT, those reviews take longer because there's so much horrible stuff to talk about. If all of wrestling was just great, I don't think we would have... That's true. I would miss, there's always got to be... I've always got to have some rival.
There's got to be balance in this world.
It was WCW for a while, and then it was TNA, and I never thought it would be WWE, but here we are.
Well, plus some people are just into Schadenfreude, too, and they take great pleasure out of watching Vinny in great pain having to view these shows. Which, by the way, how long did the interview portion of the Edge and all that, how long did that go for? The match went about 11 and a half minutes. How long did the interview segment go for?
We're talking about the Edge thing?
Yeah.
I told you. They stood in the ring for 8 minutes, and then they talked for 8 minutes. They were out there for 16 minutes.
So with the match itself, so nearly 12 minutes, 28 minutes spent on that. If you watch the video recap, which is all you would need to see from it, it's 2 minutes and 19 seconds, I believe, on WWE.com. And you get a little of the promo, you get the end of the match, which is all you need and tells you a lot about that show.
Please review Bryan and Vinny reviews on Noah with Russo-esque that does Nozawa.
Oh God! You're going to become the Nosawa wrestling expert now?
I never said anything about that. That's what that person wrote there. But I didn't hear a lot about Nozawa yesterday. One good.
No, people don't like him.
No,
they don't.
This person here says, "Do I have to read one about? Should I skip the Sasha and Naomi one?
Yes.
Is that for the best?
Yes.
All right. Any chance Hell in a Cell will be better than WrestleMania Backlash? My expectations for Backlash were low, but it turned out to be a good show. Any chance Hell in a Cell will be better? Well, I mean, there's always a chance. I mean, listen, the wrestlers are all, for the most part, good. So, I mean, if you've got, let's look at this Hell in a Cell card here. I think we got 4 official matches. But, I mean, Cody and Seth in Hell in a Cell, I mean, that's going to be good. And Bianca, Asuka, and Becky, that's going to be really good. Ezekiel and Kevin Owens, I mean, we'll see. Kevin Owens is really good. Lashley, Omos, and MVP, I mean, it'll suck. So, yeah, that's what we got so far.
You know who's really good?
I mean, Veer and the Mysterios.
El Phantasmo is pretty damn good.
Of course he's good. I could have told you that.
He had a match with Teton and another match with Wheeler Yuta during the Best of the Super Juniors. Excellent. The Outliers, 2 of the Outlier wrestling matches. There hasn't been too much bad. That's been for Sho Tanaka and Raisuke Taguchi. They've been having the bad stuff. But Desperado and Teton was a great one. Hiromu and Akira, it's another Francesco Akira, another really good one. And again, TJP against Desperado and Lindemann, both fantastic as well, too, but not as fantastic as these Old Bay Goldfish crackers. Have you seen these? Do they have these on the West Coast? Do they have these in the Pacific Northwest? These things are fantastic. Not good for your sodium count, but it doesn't matter.
No calls, everybody. Mike's going to be plugging Goldfish. For free, I might add. Dom, I don't even know where to start. Back in a moment, Observer Live.
There's 1, 2. Now he's got Bryan Alvarez. He whips him into the corner hard. Adam Firestorm following up, catches a boot to the face. Bryan Alvarez with another hard shot to the head. 1, 2. This is the most aggressive I've seen Bryan Alvarez today here in Portland Wrestling. Now he's got his knee across the throat. He's choking him, LC.
Well, it's like this week Alvarez has something to prove, brother. Something to prove to his sweet little lady over there.
Of course, Adam Firestorm with a big win over Black Dragon last week. Looking for another one here. There's a sunset flip. Is he going to go down? Yes, he is. Over he goes. 1, 2, 3. It is all over. Adam Firestorm with the victory over beautiful Bryan Alvarez here in Portland Wrestling. Now out Bryan Alvarez firing away with a boot. Action continues after the bell. Goes for the back body drop. No! Face first plant by Adam Firestorm. Your winner once, looks like he'll be your winner twice. Action continues. There's a whip into the far corner. Adam Firestorm follows with a spinning kick. LC, I think Bryan Alvarez has bit off more than he could chew tonight. Miss Rent-to-Own really disgusted over in the corner. Adam Firestorm not done. There's a lion sold on top. He hooks him again. 1, 2. 2.5. I thought we had a 3 count earlier in this match, LC. I was wrong. I'm sorry.
I can't believe it. I thought Youth Gone Wild was just adding a little salt to the wound. I thought Alvarez was Alvarez and a 2-time loser, brother.
Well, Mark Watson's hand must have stopped just short of the 3 count. And these eyes of mine need glasses because I thought I saw a 3 count Bryan Alvarez going up top.
Oh, well, forget about your cataracts, brother. Up and over he goes.
Nobody home. Adam Firestorm back in control, playing a bit of possum. He's climbing up top. Is Reto and Otto really upset? There he goes. Swap
oh, and that one yet.
There's a hook to leg. 1, 2, 3. Now it's all over.
A two-time loser. And does the LC have to look after Miss Rentonato tonight, baby?
There's Adam Firestorm, your winner in this match. Once, twice, 3 times, it didn't matter. Bryan Alvarez not up to it. Miss Rentonato absolutely disgusted with it. Mark Watson explaining to him it was a 3 count this time. No hook the leg. Fair and square, Adam Firestorm, your winner here on Portland Wrestling. Fans will be right back with after a message from our sponsors.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Sempervive, what is this person? Man, we were talking about on the Filthy Tom show yesterday. I was mentioning that, man, if I were feeling it, I'd come out of retirement and go after Tom's Black Label Pro Midwest Championship or whatever he had.
Yeah.
And I said I could be the king of the regional titles as a former Texarkana television champion. This guy here says, clearly Bryan has a case of regional championship envy, needing to downplay Tom's title, representing around 12 states and 70 million people, including several major metropolitan areas, by putting it on equal footing with a belt representing portions of 3 states and roughly 150,000 people.
Yeah.
Bro, one of these states is Texas.
Yeah,
what are you talking about? It's the biggest state.
Wrong.
Except for Alaska.
It's not all of Texas. You only get, like, the panhandle portion.
No, get out of here.
Yes,
it represents
you do.
that whole area.
You don't know. You haven't broken into Blanchard territory down in the Southwest into the Funks and the Amarillos. You couldn't handle it out that far.
We don't even know what the Midwest technically even covers. What is the Midwest? It's a vague term for a vague area.
Will you stop? You're a really
I didn't put it on equal footing anyway. I just said that as a former Texarkana champion, it would only be fitting that I would become a Midwest champion as well.
Yeah, you should come out of retirement and do that so we can see you get choked out.
He wouldn't choke me out anyway.
Come up and say you deserve.
Get out of here. I'm retired.
Lazy old man.
We're out of time. But we got more coming up tonight. Oh, get out of here. I'm not bad at math or geography. I hate you guys. I'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.